based on the information given to me. So Olaf Wilkstrom is one of the investors or generals or whatever that was employed rather to invest in these floating cities such as Tangaroa. Tangaroa might have been the first ever floating city project that happened, and Olaf and Captain Tully and a number of others, Hane and Reuben, were all a part of this project. And I've learned that when the city started failing, Captain Tully sent Olaf Wilkstrom and his yacht out. That's what the big cargo bay door is for. It was for the Vagisterian or whatever the hell it was for, the yacht. Captain Tully sent Olaf and a number of other people out to either go to Selene or find out some other way to like keep the projects alive or whatever. Go find people that were like on their own little islands or something like that, and I guess recruit them to help like keep Tangaroa afloat. So because I guess while reading the journal a lot last night, I guess the ecosystem in Tangaroa was just not sufficient enough to keep the food going for the city, and that was kind of one of the reasons why it failed. So Olaf got sent out to sea by Tully, and eventually the yacht got stuck. Olaf left with some people of the yacht that were still like at his side. Olaf then, because he was the captain of the yacht, had found out about Caravan Town. I guess Caravan Town had nothing to do with what had been going on. But when Olaf went to Caravan Town, he kind of turned the island bad. So like animals and people got sick, but the people that were still like looking for answers or like still supported Olaf got these people together and they were going to take back Tangaroa. Hence why Tully was just like, we can't let these rafters get back to the city. They're gonna suffer with us, because at that point the city was already failing, like much worse than what it was. So Olaf got sent out, went to some island on his own, gathered a bunch of people, and was actually looking to take back Tangaroa before Tully, like, I guess, opened fire on some of them or whatever. I guess some of the rafters still made it to the city anyway, and the main people, the elites, I guess, or whatever, stayed up in the tower the whole time, and/or some underground bunker area. I don't know. A tower that big, in the center of it all, there's got to be a bunker on the island or something like that. I mean, I'm just speculating. I have no idea. So, but at the same time, right around the same time.
Under the raft.
What?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Ignore me.
Oh, so I had found out around the same time that Olaf got deployed by the Tully and the yacht. Apparently Owl, Kuko, and Sparrow were all three of them were prime scientists that were, I guess, part of the original Tangaroa project. So they were all three there. So Tully sent those three out to Selene because Selene had the power and the necessity and like I guess the necessity answers to maybe like keep the project going. And as they were out, Sparrow caught wind or learned that either Owl or Kuko was a mole, so he abandoned both of those guys at the radio tower and went to Selene on his own. Now, and let's see what else here. So, Balboa Island is kind of like Caravan Island. It's kind of just out on its own. And the people there were just, I guess bystanders that were drug into everything. So I actually found out that Astrid actually went missing. She wasn't taken. She didn't run away. Was she taken? Was she run away? Bruno's notes don't really explain what happened to her. It's just, he's logging notes, and then in one of the notes it says, you know, it's been months since we were assigned to this position on this island, and you know, and then he's talking about his dolls, and he's just like, oh, you know, Henry hasn't been the same since Astrid went missing or whatever. Like, so I don't really know what happened to Astrid. It's never really explained. I still don't know. But apparently, the boy. So.
Maybe Astrid died. I don't know. Probably not.
What?
Sorry, my brain's like picking in a different universe.
Did you just say maybe Astrid died?
I don't know what.
What?
Ignore me.
So don't know what happened to Astrid. I've wrote down a rough draft of notes. I've written down a rough draft of all the notes from the book and color coordinated to match the tabs because I like the theme around here. And on the other side of the paper, I'm going to make the timeline. I'm going to take all of what I've wrote on the one side and I'm going to make an accurate timeline on the other. Now, the only thing part of me almost wanted to go back to Caravan Island because it seemed like the people there had a better idea of what had happened to the world than what was going on with the cities project. And I wanted to see if maybe I could read like around the area, because I remember you saying that there were some places that had that were telling the story of what everything happened. If I can get some dates or some timelines from them, that would be great. I do know this much. I don't know what year it is, but I will say that we are in the following year after everything went up Schitt's Creek, and I'm just gonna say it right now. It appears to me that by last November, that's when things were still kind of normal, or were like maybe beginning to transition into the you made a little ladder, that's cute, or we're in the middle of the transition period between the world going bad versus it like.
Okay, Africa despawning.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff to read and learn. I just know that Dedo and Sanjay on Caravan Island are they're not a part of the whole thing with the cities. Apparently, their island, I guess, just was marooned by natives of some sort. In fact, Sanjay's another person of interest to me because we got one note from Sanjay saying he might be in trouble, but we never really heard from Sanjay after that. So Sanjay and Astrid both are MIA. Where they're at, who knows? They could be in Utopia. They may be somewhere else. Who knows? It appears to me that when you read the Cities of Blue thing from the Vagisterian, it appears to me that Tully, the scientists, maybe Wilkstrom, you know how it is in some movies or whatever, they've got their scientists and a couple of their military guys just because they're really good at formulating people of high remarks or whatever. So I can only guess that Tully, or maybe not, I don't know if Tully's the head of it, but I think he's one of the chief head engineers for the floating cities. He seemed fairly if he's the captain of Tangaroa and that was the project prototype, I would assume he's got to be pretty high up on that leaderboard of the project as a whole goes. And Wilkstrom was either his left or right hand man, or was one of the guys that Tully employed. So, and then the fact that, I guess. I don't really know which side is better in this situation. It's kind of from Tully's point of view, he knows that there's not enough he knows there's not enough out there yet to what in the fuck? Did you put a mug by the fucking front of the ship? I guess Tully knows that the floating cities projects needed more time to develop, and he's trying to either scrap the idea or try to seek better ways to go about it. And Wilkstrom is pushing for that the project works, but they just don't have the manpower. So I don't really know whose side is better in this scenario. I just know there's a lot of internal fighting. It looks like about like how to handle everything. I'm like reading, or I've been reading.
Yeah, I can kind of understand it though.
Let's see. So, and the only reason why the timetable kind of starts in November is because November is when Bruno and Astrid both got to Balboa Island. So, whatever Rangers were there before, I guess nothing of note, like nothing of worth, had been like happening. So when they got relieved of their duties, and when Bruno and Astrid came in, they both arrived on. Let me read the journal. I think it was November 7th. Yeah, no, or I'm sorry, no, yeah, December 7th was when they arrived. So when Gil and Bianchi both got relieved at the end of November, that's when the Correa twins or siblings arrived, and then I guess that's when the world kind of was really going bad. So that's kind of my only timetable for the start. I mean, if we go to Utopia, then obviously we might find some more or whatever. The notes from Varuna Point didn't really give me anything. It was just one fucking thief running around the whole building. They didn't supply much information. Henry had to get left behind. So I found out that Bruno... So Temperance is so big that Bruno accidentally, like, I guess, stumbled upon Temperance on his own, but he stumbled upon the village. And I guess it looks like he said... let's see... Okay, so apparently Bruno kind of stumbled upon to the island, and while he was like trying to evade the bears and try to get his boat back working, Dedo and Ruben, I guess, were there. Ruben's badly hurt in this situation, so Dedo's the one kind of like man in that pairing. So Dedo's the one that finds the abandoned village, and now this tells me that something must have been going on at Selene before they arrived to the facility as a whole. Like if everything was abandoned and Dedo was the one that discovered it, then obviously something else was already happening prior to that. Now what was there? Who knows? But now with the village with Dedo finding the village, this kind of told me that the island was so big in the midst of all this like harsh winter weather that they didn't even know a nuclear reactor was there, apparently. Because Dedo, Bruno, and Ruben are now a trio, and they left the island without ever thinking about like what else was there. But the last note from Temperance is from Sparrow, and Sparrow indicates that he was the only one that felt like he could trust. He couldn't trust Owl. He couldn't trust Kuko. Still don't know who the mole is. Part of me wondered if Sparrow was the mole, and he's just trying to play it off like, oh, one of them's the mole, but it's secretly me or something. I don't know. So like,
Yeah, I get you.
So,
I hit him with the old sneak attack.
Yeah. So Sparrow apparently went to the reactor, and I guessed he in regards to him being sent there and then finding out there was a mole, and I don't know. He seems to think Owl was the one. It was the mole. Yeah. Okay. So Sparrow seems to think that Owl's the mole. I don't know if Owl's the mole or not. I mean, we don't have any clarification if he's the mole. I just know Al was super cranky when Sparrow left. Left both him and Kuko on the radio tower island. But I guess while they were there, Al spent most of his time up in the radio's comm. But he was writing notes down, so I feel like if you're a mole, you're not writing down information for everyone to see, you know? But that's just me. Apparently Sparrow wanted to get the head start, I guess, when he got sent to Selene. When he thought that the investors and Tully back on Tangaroa were, like, not very good at doing what they were doing or handling the situation, and Sparrow either purposely sabotaged a Selene and took out the control rods and made everything go all shipwrecky over there, or he was trying to do something about it and it got away from him. I tend to believe that. I think he sabotaged it just so that if somebody discovered upon it, they wouldn't be able to use the facility at all. Which is not a bad tactic, like a self-sabotage. And then I guess he left the island on his own. It doesn't say in his notes if he left with Dedo, Ruben, or Bruno or not. It just says that, you know, if any one of the investors found that Selene still worked or whatever, then they would monopolize the entire facility again, like they did for Tangaroa, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that this game, like, talks about floating cities, because I don't know if it's Japan or China, but one of those countries are actually experimenting with, like, floating movable cities, and they're powered by the wave energy generated in the water. Like, they produce hydroelectricity or something like that.
Starts disappearing. We know to start building rafts.
When what? When Africa starts disappearing. So, I have no idea what year it is in game, by the way. Like, it doesn't give a year at all. I've just got dates for... Apparently, though, everything started to fall apart at the end of a year going into the following year. I did find out, though, that there was quite a considerable amount of time between Olaf's voyage and Tangaroa. So Olaf, it's been at least 4 to 6 months, and here's why. Because I gotta look back at the radio tower things here. So let me see. So on December 22nd, there was a distress call received from Balboa Island. That was probably, that's 15 days after Bruno and Astrid take, like, the reins. So that's either from Bruno or it's from Astrid. I don't know. I really don't know. That could be the day when Astrid went missing. Because that kind of, like, puts it into the same time frame. So, on February 2nd, there are gunshots in the distance, Tangaroa City. So, I believe... Actually, let me take a look at this. Okay, so... here we go. Yeah, so oh man, dude, I don't know. I don't know if the rafters, I think a group of rafters were trying to sail to Tangaroa initially. And they got shot upon by Tully because they were trying to warn them and all that stuff. But so this happened on apparently February 2nd. This is what Owl says. But he put a question mark at it. He didn't know if it was from Tangaroa City or not. So Tangaroa was falling apart by the beginning of February, it seems like. So apparently the 16th of April, Rafters Dreaming of Utopia, Foolish Hope. That's the last radio comm we get from Owl. So, but the latest date I have of anything in the notes is from May 17th on Caravan Island. Apparently, that's when Olaf was writing a speech to the rafters to take back Tangaroa City. So, this leads me to believe that the I guess the timeline between when Olaf left Tangaroa versus when he was trying to recruit the rafters to take the city back was at least 4 to 6 months, I'm guessing. But May 17th is like the last notable date I have of anything, of any of the notes that I have.
Okay.
So when we were on Caravan Island, May 7th, I don't know what month we're at in the game. I mean, it's sunny a lot, it rains a little bit. I can only assume maybe we're in June or July. I don't really know. Of course, if we've spent like over 5 months in the game already, then it's probably getting close to October or November, but I don't think they pay attention to that.
No. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Phasma needed an update, and they've added in like a new sunrise weather aspect where the ghost can disappear when it turns sunrise.
Oh, does that put the match on a time limit?
Pretty much, because once it turns daytime, the ghost obviously fucks off.
Oh,
So you
and
can't
then
do
you probably have to leave the house, or you get made to leave. Okay, this kind of, I guess this helps speed up the round a little bit, or makes you really try looking hard for it.
They've also they've done it. They've finally done it. The Wraith can no longer walk in salt.
Oh.
It's we finally made it true to its book description of can't walk in salt. Then they've changed Revenant will now stay sped up until it goes to the player's last known location before it then slows down. It will slow down slower.
So if the Revenant sees you, it stays on that same speed. It doesn't just break speed right away if you round a corner.
So yeah, the Revenant will go to, say you I guess it means say you smudge it. The Revenant will stay speedy until he goes to where he knew you were last.
That's gonna make, because the smudge stick doesn't have a wide range. That's gonna make trying to avoid the Revenant really tricky then.
So you can place crucifixes now, and it will show you the radius in which the crucifix works.
Like on the fucking house screen or something?
So, do you know when you place down a motion sensor kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's not going to show up on the map thing, I don't think.
Oh.
But it will tell you when you're placing it. I guess it will just have a little ring around you, how far it goes. Ideally. But then I guess I don't know how they're going to work that, because obviously they can't say it's going to work 3 meters if it's in a demon, but still.
Right.